Hey guys, how's it going? Today's video is another excerpt from the Star Wars archives by Paul Duncan, episodes 4 to 6, and this one is covering Return of the Jedi. It's an excerpt from Carrie Fisher herself. It's something that she said back in the early 80s when they were filming, and it's something that led me to kind of theorize on. So this is an information video about what she said, and it's also a bit of a theory explanation. We can have some fun with it. So she goes on to say, I always felt Leia had a strength which was more based on anger than a strength that was power. Her strength came from bitterness about wanting to eliminate evil from the universe. So already, there's a little more to this. That's pretty bad, okay? So her insight into Leia, obviously everything came from George Lucas, and of course actors make, their own characters kind of their own, sort of. But everything comes and it's directed by the guy who created these characters. And we can see that in her portrayal of Leia. The fact that she thinks that Leia has a little more anger than power, to me makes me think that, hey, if she actually trained to be a Jedi, she would have been unfreaking stoppable, and she probably would have become a dark Jedi. I don't think she would have become a Sith, because I think she had very good morals, but I think she would have become a dark Jedi. I think she would have allowed her anger to get the best of her, and I don't know if she was as maybe level-headed as Luke Skywalker was. I believe she would have been more powerful than Luke had she trained, which is in Legends, tenfold. They always pretty much say that. I mean, they even said it in Empire Strikes Back. No, there is another. And Leia would have been extremely powerful had she trained, but she didn't train. And it's probably for a good thing, because she would have been pretty badass. She goes on to say her strength came from bitterness about wanting to eliminate evil from the universe. All the characters are more developed in Return of the Jedi. It was interesting this time because I wasn't sure how to approach her. So all of the directing, of course, comes from George Lucas. And I know that characters, when they act, they sort of take on their own personification of the character that they're playing. And I know, everybody does this. But I also believe that a lot of that comes from the directing, George is standing there, he's corralling and I know he didn't direct Return of the Jedi, but he has said millions of times in different excerpts, especially in this book, that he felt like he could just step away from it, but if he hired a different director, but he always felt compelled, like he had to be watching. So he was pretty much on set every single day, sort of just, while someone else was directing. But he was on set every single day, even though Howard was directing the whole thing. And essentially, George was kind of just directing himself too, like directing Howard almost in a sense. So I feel like he would have had a lot of input to what Leia would be like for Carrie Fisher, how she should act for Leia, that she has a bit of this anger and bitterness about wanting to eliminate evil from the universe. So being angry that there is evil in the universe is still being angry. I mean, you have a moral, just reason to be angry for this anger, but to be a Jedi and to use the Force, anger is never a good thing, because it's just going to get out of control, and once you start down that path, then forever will it dominate your destiny. I believe had she trained with Luke, then she would have overpowered him, as this was stated in Legends many times, that she would have been stronger than him, but I don't believe she was as level-headed as he was. I think she was more emotional, I think she was more angry, she was more impatient, which is saying a lot for Luke. I think if she got all that stuff under control, then she could have been phenomenal. She could have been absolutely amazing. But I don't see that happening. I think she was just a little bit too angry at everything going on. And I almost feel like her powers were so immense, her potential was so huge, that it would have been really difficult to own those and to really control them. So, I mean, I could see her staying in the light. I don't think she would ever become a Sith, but she would definitely, I believe, tread on the darker path. Maybe sort of like Mace Windu, but maybe even a little darker. And I believe she would have been more powerful. At her potential, of course. I mean, this is the child of Anakin Skywalker. So let me know in the comments, do you think Leia would have made for a really great level-headed Jedi? Or do you think this little bit that she was explaining about Leia, that it kind of just sort of explains everything that would have happened had Leia trained in the Force? She would have just used a lot of that anger, and she had a lot of it. So it's a bit of a dangerous, slippery slope for me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think down below. Catch you in the next video. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.